Alrighty, I'm here with Grant Imahara, of course, of MythBusters fame, and also now Star Trek continues. So, it's obviously a bit of a Trekkie fan then.
Oh yeah, I grew up with Star Trek, watching reruns of the original series, and so it's really near and dear to my heart.
And Captain Sulu? Sulu?
That's Lieutenant Sulu.
Lieutenant Sulu.
Yes,
Yeah.
George Takei. I mean, you know, as an Asian American kid growing up, there weren't a lot of people like me on TV, and certainly no one like that who was a hero figure. Most of them were, like and a thug or gangster or something like that. But Sulu was part of a hero team, and he flew the Enterprise. I mean, he was a great role model.
And have you met with George Takei at all to chat with him about it, or did you try and take any inspiration, or did you try and make this your own role?
Oh no, I mean, the whole idea with Star Trek Continues is to take those roles and that universe and basically, as if it had never ended, continue on. And so it was never a situation, and we all were instructed this. It's not a parody. There's no, we're not making fun of this universe. We're not doing overemphasized performances. We're trying to be true to these characters, as true as possible, and we all have great respect for them. So, when I do the Sulu voice, it's not an impersonation really, but it's just as close as I can get to what I know and love. And when I first went over to portray this character, I sent George a tweet saying, "Hey George, thank you for inspiring me when I was younger. You were tremendous." And like 5 minutes later, he sent me a tweet back saying, "Hey Grant, thanks for continuing to inspire future generations."
That's pretty awesome then.
I saved it. I have that. That's like a highlight.
Have you got it framed or anything, or?
I should print it out and frame it. I've got it saved.
See, that's interesting. I mean, the way that kind of technology is developed is instead of maybe getting a handwritten letter back and people framing it to a tweet and they just favourite it and it kind of stays there in cyberspace. It's not really as cool, is it, in a way?
Oh, I don't know. The cool thing about it that is different than, say, having a physical letter is that this all happened on Twitter. And so hundreds of thousands of people saw it and were able to also share in that moment with us. And, for me, that's really, really neat to have people be as excited as I am about something like that.
You're obviously a Trekkie, but Star Wars as well. You have been involved in some of the films. Had a bit to do with R2-D2 and preparing him for the prequel trilogy. Give us a bit of an idea of what that was like as someone who obviously was into that genre of film as a kid.
I'm a child of the 70s. I grew up, I was born in 1970. I was 7 years old when Star Wars came out. I was the kid that had the action figures. I had the bed sheets. I had the lunchbox. I had everything.
Same.
And so, what a tremendous honor, what a tremendous moment it would be when you came into work on a Monday morning and said, "All right, yep, we need you to work on R2-D2." And it just blew my mind. And, for Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3, I worked on the R2 fleet, revamping the electronics. We made one brand new R2 for episode 1 that had special capabilities as far as navigation goes. But, I mean, it's a dream come true, really, to be able to work on that Star Wars universe, and particularly on R2-D2.
Given your relationship with the production of episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then I guess your love for it as a child, honestly, what was your thoughts on the prequel trilogy? Because obviously I know they've had a lot of backlash about it. Even people go to as far as saying George Lucas destroyed my childhood. How did you view them?
It's tough because I was a fan, and everybody that I worked with at ILM was a fan. And so when we came out of the first screening, we were like, well, it wasn't really what we expected, And I think it's true that this is a movie that was designed for a different generation. Like, I'm told kids love episode 1. They love Jar Jar. But for the rest of us, it was like, what is this all about? Where is the movie that I know from my childhood? So, you know what? Like a lot of people, I felt, I would say betrayed is a very hard word, but something like that. I didn't get the movie that I wanted.
Now, obviously, it's being redone with J.J. Abrams, and he's also done Star Trek. How have you kind of seen that, and what's your hope for how it's going to turn out, I guess?
I like the Star Trek reboot. I think he did a great job with it. The second one, not so much, but the first one I really enjoyed. So I'm eager to see what his vision is for the Star Wars movie, and for having some different writers involved in the mix and seeing what they do with the universe. I'm really excited for it, actually.
Now, with Star Trek continues, obviously with your experience with MythBusters and creating gadgets and gizmos and robots and whatnot, have you had anything to do with building any of the sets, or are you just rock up, I'm, acting now?
A little bit. It's funny because on Star Trek Continues, we show up and the sets are already done and they're lit and they're beautiful and everything works. Although for the third episode in the Mirror Universe, I think, was it the second one? No, maybe it was Lolani, the second one. There's a part where the Sulu scope comes up, the thing that he kind of looks into. And it was a prop that we had borrowed from one of our friends, but somehow it wasn't quite working. And so I'm there on set. I have a particular set of skills, and so I'm like, oh, well, let me take a look at it. And so I opened it up and fiddled with it to get it to work for the episode.
Fantastic. Now, MythBusters, of course, we all know what that's about. It's probably one of the most popular reality TVs or documentary shows on TV. How did you get into that? I think you were friends with one of the hosts?
Oh, yeah. I was friends with Adam and Jamie and Tori, and Adam and Tori and I worked together at Industrial Light and Magic for many years, and Jamie would hire me at night and on weekends because my specialty was animatronics, and he didn't really have an animatronics ace on his crew. So he'd hire me to come and finesse the puppets that he would make, and we did the Tiger Woods talking tiger puppet that was on one of his golf clubs, and a Roomba that chases this comedian Dave Chappelle around the room and sucks his pants off, and a few other things. And so I just do odd jobs for Jamie, and I worked directly with Adam and Tori. And so when the show came along, they invited me to join the crew, which I actually declined the first round because I had been on a couple other reality shows like Junkyard Wars and BattleBots, and I was like, well, I've done some reality TV, but I really want to finish working on the Star Wars prequel trilogy. The third one was coming up, and so about a year later, after Scotty left, I got another call. I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
Are you surprised at the success of the show?
Oh, yeah. For the first 5 years, we were figuring that we'd get canceled every year. Because, I don't know. How it was pitched in the beginning was this little cable show, this little thing that was on Discovery Channel that was pretty fun and kind of quirky. And here we are 10 years later, and in virtually every market in the world with this show that just continues to go like a juggernaut.
A couple of years, but I think it would be about 2, maybe 3 years ago, there was a bit of a mishap with one of the experiments where a cannonball ended up being shot a hell of a lot further. What was it like on that day when you realised this has actually gone tits up?
Horrible.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah, horrible. It was a horrible day. I was on set during that particular experiment, and it was really hard to describe because we didn't have very much information. All we knew was that particular projectile had exited the bomb range in a way that we did not expect, and that it went into a populated area. It wasn't until much later that we found out that no one was hurt. But it was suddenly it turned into this crazy thing, like we're like I don't know, television copters started to hover around our filming location. We never had this kind of weird publicity before. So fortunately, no one was hurt, and it turned into this story that became so popular. Because, given the nature of our program, we blow things up and we shoot projectiles, and then it became this weird story that had this great hook that went all the way around the world in less than 24 hours.
So in a way, bad publicity can also be good publicity, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately, because no one was hurt, it became kind of a laugh, and everyone was like, oh, haha.
Now, are you guys currently filming or about to start filming another season? Can you give it clue us in on maybe one of the myths that may get a look in?
Let's see. We are on break right now and don't know when we're going to start back up again. The myths that we have filmed recently, let's see, I think the last one that I recall has just aired here, which is the tennis wing walk, where we try and play tennis on the wing of an airplane in flight. And, you know, it's I think that one's one of my favorites because of how epic it was. Like, they wouldn't let us get onto a wing of an airplane, let alone, you know, one that's in flight, let alone try and play tennis on one that's in flight. So we had to come up with a more creative solution for it.
Looking forward to having a look at that. Obviously, your foray into acting, is this the first of many roles, or is this going to be just a one-off kind of thing?
Right now it's a hobby, but it's a really fun hobby. So hopefully I'll be able to branch out a little bit and try my hand on the fiction side.
Fantastic. Well, Grant Imahara, thank you very much for joining us here on 6PR, and enjoy the rest of your time in Perth.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.